Have mercy. Your brother from the gutter, the slick one, is back behind the wood for the open bar. Yes, never a cover, never a minimum. It's part 2 of, what are we calling it? Slick's fascinating journey through the landmines of broadcasting. Yes. And listen, I got to put a shout out to Pam at the unemployment office who really helped me get through. Let me tell you, if I had a handgun, I would have shot my computer many times over the last month. I mean, just the red tape and bullshit that you have to go through just to get unemployment or to get New York State health insurance. I've been on the phone pretty much every day for the last month jerking around with this shit. And I mean, it's really, really disheartening. And now, I mean, I understand why people go berserk and shoot up their former work places. I mean, because of all the aggravation you got to go through to get your unemployment. I still haven't got a check from unemployment. I've been out of work since what, July 16th? I haven't got my health insurance yet. That won't kick in until October 1st. So if I have like a massive coronary tomorrow, I'm fucked. So it's just all the shit that you have to go through that they put you through. It's just brutal. But Pam at the unemployment office in Williamsville, Transit Road, great people there, very helpful. But it looks like it's pretty much all resolved at this point. So the open bar, where we last left off, let's see what happened. I came back to Buffalo. It was about 82. This is after Nashville and the Roach Motel and the owner that wanted me to become a adult contemporary jock. Although I did see Van Halen there with Billy Squier. Oh, I did get to meet Valerie Bertinelli backstage, so that was cool. So we come back to Buffalo in 82, and I didn't have a gig. I wasn't on the air. There was nothing going on. So I took a job in Erie doing weekends, Sunday afternoon. I would drive up to Erie, and I think my show started at noon, and then I worked till like 6, and I did that for, I don't know, a couple of months, and they wanted me to move down there to, Bill Shannon was the guy, PD, wanted me to work 7 to midnight, and I just didn't want to move to Erie. Great station, though. It was an FM top 40 rocker, and I just wanted to, I wanted to get something going in Buffalo. So I didn't want to leave Buffalo again for some stupid reason. I don't know. So I ended up working my first time ever in album rock or classic rock. It was album-orientated rock, they called it back then, AOR, and I worked at Z98, which was on Grand Island, Staley Road. I had to drive out to fucking Grand Island. And I did weekends there, and that was okay for a little short time. Dino Matella was the program director, and I worked with him at YSL. And he said, "Do you think you could do what we do here?" And I said, "Well, I don't know, man. I like the music, but I don't know if I could be one of those, whispering type, hey, here's another track off the new Bebop Deluxe album." He's like, "Look, they don't want people that sound like that anymore. They want people that sound like they work at the steel plant." I said, "Well, let me give it a shot." So I quickly decided that I liked it because I could be irreverent. I could be myself. So, it turned out pretty good. But then what happened was they went into bankruptcy. Yes, Z98 went bankrupt, and I think they were the first station in the country at that time, back in 82, to ever go bankrupt. So, yeah, it's just my luck, all right, that I would work for the first station in the country to ever go bankrupt. So they didn't have enough hours for me. So they said, "Look," Dean said, "Go." 97 Rock had contacted me about doing weekends there. So he said, go do weekends over there. If I need you, I'll steal you back if something comes up. So I went over to 97 Rock. We had a great staff there. I think it was Bearman and Norton and Bruce Barber. And we had Mark Henning, Paul Hine, I think, was the program director. We had Russo, me, Hager. Me and Hager were doing weekends. Not sure if Tom Shue was there at that time. Patrick was there. I don't know if I'm forgetting anybody, but it was a good time. And that's when I got my first letter. I went into work one Saturday morning, and I got a letter from Attica Prison. I was doing Saturday mornings on 97 Rock, doing weekends. And I get this letter from Attica Prison, and I'm like, well, maybe one of the prisoners really likes my show. I don't know. So I open it up, and I start to read it, and it's from Mark David Chapman.
How much are white folks paying you, boy?
So I'm like, wow, this is, I just got kind of a chill. And all he said was, "Dear Tom, I really enjoy listening to your Saturday morning show, and I would like to thank you by sending you a copy of J.D. Salinger's Catcher in the Rye."
Medication time.
So I did weekends for a while at 97 Rock, had fun, and really liked it there. I'm like, wow, finally I made it to a really good station. And then what happened was I got the offer to go back to Z98 to work 7 to midnight. I didn't really want to leave 97 Rock, but I needed a full-time gig. And they're like, well, stick here. You'll get one eventually. And I'm like, well, I need one right now. I mean, I got to pay my car insurance. I got to pay my rent. I can't do it working weekends. So I went back to Z98 to do 7 to midnight. And we rocked it, man. I mean, we rocked our ass off. That was a good station, even though we had weak ownership and the place was like up for sale and we were in bankruptcy, and then rumors were they were going to sell the place and all this kind of shit. But we really rocked, and we had some success, but it was too late. The station was too far gone into debt by then, and I started to get offers from out of town because Burkhart Abrams, who consult 97 Rock, they were trying to get me out of the market. So I could have went to Tampa. But, of course, I stayed in Buffalo for the weather. And then I left to go back to 97 Rock. They said, look, come back and do weekends. We'll give you the next full-time opening, and we'll give you a bar gig once a week to help make up for the money you're going to lose. And I remember Dean was very upset, that Dino I was leaving. And I'm like, hey, man, he's like, they just want to get you out, off the air. So we're arguing, and I ended up putting out a cigarette in his coffee cup. So, yeah, that turned out to be a massive blowout, and we didn't speak for many years, but we're cool now. But anyways, crazy shit like that does happen. So I went back to 97 Rock. This is probably around 84, I don't know, and somewhere in there. And I did weekends, and then about... I don't know, and not too long, 6 months, a year, I got the all-night show. Did that for 6 months, and then I was shit-canned with everybody else. What happened was Taft had fired our general manager, Jim DeFiglia, on a Friday. DeFig, by the way, was cool because he called me into his office. He said, listen, I know you were promised the next full-time opening, and don't worry, you're going to get it because the PD left. So he just wanted to let me know that we didn't forget about that. So they canned DeFiglia on a Friday, and the meeting is on Monday, and these suits come in from Cincinnati. That's where Taft was located. And they said, look, it's been real, it's been nice, but we're switching the format, and you're all fired. And I missed that. I was 5 minutes late for the meeting. Of course. I was 5 minutes late for the meeting. Listen, I'm doing all nights. They get these meetings at 9 o'clock in the morning, so I come in, and everybody's hanging around their desk, and I go to the meeting start yet? And Carl's like, yeah, it's over with. We're all shit-canned. I'm like, get out of here. So I'm walking down the hall, and then I peek into the program director's office, Tim Smith, and I could see he had a somber look on his face. And I'm like, shit, man, this is real. This is real. We got the Taft shaft, is what we called it. We all got the Taft shaft. And what they were doing was, the reason they did that is because they wanted to sell the radio station and they wanted to streamline it. So they fired a general manager. That saves a lot of money. Then they fired all of us. And RLT, Light FM, they were ready to go at 10 o'clock. The engineers came in with these carts. Like the morning show just got off the air, and they're like putting in these carts. This is WRLT. It was really stupid. But that's what happened. So we were all out of work. Everybody scattered, I think Larry went to Rochester. Carl went to Indianapolis. Hager went to Rochester. I stayed in Buffalo, and I ended up back at WYSL where I started from. Talk about depressing. Doing afternoon drive 3 to 7 at 14 WYSL AM. I'm doing AM now, playing Madonna records and hanging up on 13-year-old girls. Madonna's a slut. Anyways, I did that for a while just to have money, and then the Bear came on the air, and that was a good idea, although the signal was weak, 107.7. They hired Burkhart Abrams. They had the same consultants 97 Rock had, but the owner was a fly-by-night flim-flam man, and he was, could sell sand to the Arabs, as JP once said. JP was the PD there, and I worked with Magoo and Benson, and the guy was just, he didn't pay bills. He would lie. He would say, oh, you didn't get that new equipment I ordered? Geez, that should be there. I'm going to make a call about that. So we actually ended up almost getting evicted from there, and checks were bouncing, but I was gone before then because they had this, they hired this sales manager. He was an alkie from the local country station, YRK. He will remain nameless. And he did not understand. He just didn't get my act. I mean, this guy is a bumpkin. He's a drunk and a bumpkin. He's got two things going against him right there, okay? And he didn't understand my style either. So they let me go. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? What am I going to do now? So my friend, who I had worked with at WYSL, Jim Caglio, my good friend, lives in Florida. He had moved down there, and he's working for BMI, Broadcast Music Inc., the music licensing people. He's like, hey, you could do this job. It's great. You work out of your house. You get a company car. They pay for your insurance, your gas. It's a great gig. Start doing some part-time work for him, and then, see what happens. So I did some part-time work, and then they hired me. And it was great for a while. And I did it for 8 or 9 years, but I never stayed out of radio for longer than a year. In 88, I came back to 97 Rock to do the Saturday night show when it was back and rocking. And I did that Saturday night show from 88 to 97, I believe, and then 96 or 97, and that's when they hired me back full-time to do the 7 to midnight show. And I'm like, hey, what took you so long? I was ready to come back 5 years ago. I would have came back because BMI, it started out really good, but then it got to be, things went south there as far as it wasn't as much fun anymore. And they eventually ended up getting rid of all the, we were called field representatives. You worked from your house, and they got rid of all the field reps, and you would have had to move to Nashville and work out of a fucking cubicle. And part of the great thing about the job is that you worked out of your house. You had a brand new company car every 2 years. Insurance was paid for. Gas I never paid for. But that was all going to go away. So I got out just in time, and I went back to 97 Rock. And this is when Mercury Broadcast owned it. They bought it from the Rich family. Rich family bought it after Taft. And I know I'm skipping around here. And Rich was the one that actually turned it back to rock. And that's a whole interesting story. John Hager, who was at PhD programming there, he did an April Fool's Day skit where they turned PhD into 97 Rock. And David Rich got all these calls, and he's like, why don't you bring 97 Rock back? You got that shitty, easy listening station. And so he started thinking about it. And I think he had lunch with Hager, and Hager, he ended up hired Hager to program the station. So that's a pretty interesting story how it all came out of an April Fool's Day skit, 97 Rock coming back. So, Rich family, they were great owners, and that was good. In any event, I came back in full-time in 96, 97, and did the 7 to midnight show, and we did the open bar. We took it from weekends to Monday through Friday. Had a great time, and lasted 10 years up until 2008, and then the banking crisis hit, and I was laid off for 2 years. There was this guy who ran the company who his name is Fareed. Let's just give his first name. He was the CEO of Citadel, and he basically made a big mistake by buying the ABC Disney chain to add to Citadel's portfolio. Now, these are big stations in LA, New York, and Chicago, legendary stations, and he overpaid for them at a time when radio station value was going down. He overpaid for them, and then the financial banking crisis hit, and they couldn't make the payments. They're getting strangled with debt. So do you think Fareed is going to take a pay cut? No. So what does he do? He starts chopping. They start chopping up all these stations, stripping them down to a tin can, and I was one of the casualties. You know, I was number one in my time slot, but it didn't matter. They laid me off in 2008. It was the day after Obama was sworn in, right after the election. And let me take a hit of this. And then I was out for 2 years. 2 years, 2 long years I was off. I worked part-time at BMI and went back to them working part-time from my house. And eventually in 2010, God bless his ass, Chet Oshotsky, who was our general manager at the time, he brought me back. He's like, well, you know, man, we got to bring Slick back. And I did take a pay shave, but, you know, I was back on the air. And Chet, I'll say one thing about him. Unlike a lot of these general managers, Chet was a real fan of radio. I mean, he was a real, he appreciated talent. He liked broadcasting. He wasn't one of these bean counters, these soulless bean counters that all they know how to do is to cut. I mean, Chet was he was a broadcaster. I give him that. So, you know, and Chet gave me some extra gigs here and there to make money. And then, of course, extra money on the side because I took a big pay shave. And then Chet leaves, and then you got to deal with a whole other guy. And you got to try to explain. And I've been through 3 or 4 of these people. And the last person was the worst. Not from this market. Has no clue about the heritage of 97 Rock or the importance of the heritage radio personalities. And that's pretty much it. And here I am today doing Slick's Open Bar in my underwear from my beautiful penthouse studios overlooking the telephone pole in South Buffalo. Yes. I was going to make this 3 parts, but I don't know. I guess I just got carried away. But that's pretty much it. So a lot of ups and downs, a lot of good people that you work with, and you work for some real assholes, you know, like anything else, I guess. But whatever. It is what it is. So I had a good run. I ain't dead yet. I'm still doing it here. We're doing the open bar. This thing is going to evolve. Right now, I'm just kind of feeling my way, doing different stuff. I want to keep it different. I want to mix it up. That's pretty much where it's at right now. So that's all I got for you today here on Slick's Open Bar, brought to you by absolutely nobody because, hey, we don't need no stinking sponsors. Until next time, live fast, die old, remain calm, circle the wagons, go Bills, and, of course, weed, whiskey, and Warren Zevon. Peace out.